Do you find yourself in a situation where it feels like you can just solve every problem for your ideal client, but all of a sudden your ideal client is anyone who can fog a mirror? And because of that, Leslie, people are seeing that, you know what? The people I'd really like to serve are not the ones who are calling me. And the ones I want to call, they're confused. They're thinking, I don't do business anymore. What is going on?
Oh, I know. This is such a big topic. I can't wait to get into this, how people lose track of who their ideal client is.
Well, it really, I think it even dives deeper than that, because, I mean, we have both been guilty of this, right? Well, because we are people, we're entrepreneurs, we're fixers, right? And we see some of the problem, we want to fix it, but they're really not our ideal client. I'll be the first one to admit it. I'll say, you know what? Ideally, I'd like to work with local service-based businesses like HVAC or plumbers. And next thing you know, I have somebody who's a mystical healer. And I'm like, how did that happen? And it's because I didn't say no. And then what happens is we have to then figure out the language and on that type of stuff for that particular client. And so it dilutes our efforts. But in a situation like you have, you have to be very specific. You've been doing it for 20 years and you're a genius at it. Tell us how can we be a generalist and be successful, or do we need to be a specialist? How is that?
I don't think so. I counsel a lot, as you know, I counsel a lot of business owners, and so often I say, well, who's your ideal client? And they say, well, I can sell to anybody. And I'm like, but you can't, because you have a certain price point. And so that automatically narrows the window, right? If you're a service-based business, you have a price point and you can work with that to sort of narrow down your ideal client. But I have people who say to me, because in the lifestyle management industry, they want to market to seniors and help those people who really do need help. And they also want to market to high-end homeowners, and so I'm like, how are you going to price that? You can't have a lower price point for somebody on a fixed income just to help them out and offer the same quality of service at a higher price point to somebody who can afford it. I think that's, in this day and age, that's becoming a really big racket. I don't know if you're aware, but even they've changed a lot of, like in the grocery stores, they've changed the scanner labels, right? They tell you can scan a coupon right off of the shelf that will be applied digitally to your shopping cart so that when you check out, those coupons apply. Right?
Wow.
Were you aware of that?
I did not know that. I'm not the shopper. I'm the eater in the family. I'm a consumer when it comes to that.
So, but what they've taken it another step further. Okay.
So is that a good step, did you think?
Well, at first I thought it was. I thought it was a good idea because the prices were still fixed on the shelf and they were offering you a coupon. Okay. Now they're replacing those fixed price tags with digital price tags.
Oh.
And when you scan it, it does a check to see what you can afford, and the price changes accordingly.
Oh, they call it dynamic pricing.
That's right.
Really?
And so, yeah. And it's becoming more and more prevalent. Sometimes you'll find it even if you're trying to book a flight, and if you check too many times on your computer, the history of your computer tracks that you're checking this particular flight and you're trying to get a discount, but the price will go up or it'll be the same. It will not go down until you clear your cache and go look at it again, because it's tracking you. Well, the same thing is true for business owners like ourselves, because we can't offer, or we shouldn't offer, I guess you could do it, but you're going to have a hard time being successful, the same quality of service to somebody at $10 an hour and to somebody else at $50 an hour just because they can afford it.
Yeah.
People get very upset about that. And I speak from experience, not because I did it, but because I considered it. Years and years ago, for executive errands, I considered offering 2 different price points. And then I considered offering it under 2 different company names.
Oh.
So that I could then service the needier people and help them out, because I'm like you, I want to help people. Or and then do executive errands at the higher price point. But people find out, especially here in the desert where it's such a small community, there's no way that you could keep that quiet, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So once a higher end person finds out, well, I can get the same quality service for $10. Why would I pay this amount? They get very irritable and you'll start to lose clients. So I always say you need to identify who your target market is, and you're better at forcing it, narrowing the scope or narrowing the field a little better than I am. But because you always say, well, yeah, I'll say women between 40 and 60. Yeah, but what do they do? Why those women? And so, and then the other thing that happens quite often is that your target market will change over time. I've been in business 20 years with executive errands, and who we were marketing to, I always tell everybody this. I said, my original person to market to was people that is my current age, right? Upper end baby boomers, and then it would be their higher income, higher net worth people who value the value time. They appreciate the value add of having somebody help you, right? Now I'm that age that I was marketing to 20 years ago, right? And the people that were my age are now either deceased or have no longer needing services. They've downsized, they've moved into assisted living, whatever. And so I have to look at, well, who's my new market? And the wealth in this country is younger than it used to be, right?
Bigger transfer, of wealth.
Yeah, it was a bigger transfer of wealth. So a lot of the people in the 40 to 60 range, 40 to 70 range are the people I need to market to. But they're also, because they're younger, they're more do-it-yourselfers.
Even though they have the capital.
Right. Even though they can afford to outsource it.
So it's not a matter of money now. It's a matter of what?
It's a matter of convincing them that even though they can do it themselves, why do they want to? Right? That's the new approach. And what kind of an experience can you have? Because everything these days is about experience.
Yeah.
And trust.
I'm experiencing that. I know what you mean.
Are you? So, it's about trust. Who can I trust? And then why would I, and then getting them to change their mindset from why would I give this to you to do when I'm perfectly capable of doing it myself? Right. So that's a whole new challenge.
Interesting. That's very important. As you say that, I think about somebody I saw today at pickleball, and I said, hey, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. He says, no, I had to go back to Santa Monica. And he said, my wife guilted me into come back and checking the house. And I said, why don't you have somebody take care of that? Oh, no, that's something we do on our own. I said, but you could have a service. I said, I have somebody as a friend who has a service. Oh, no, we just always do it ourselves. And they're in that probably 45 to 50-year-old range, right? Your ideal customer. And you're right. There's a thought process there. And so it is. Yeah. And so does it change your marketing messages then?
Absolutely.
From saving money to interrupting your experience of life?
Right. We've had to completely change the way we market and how we approach potential new clients and how we explain our services. It's no longer task-based. We can do this and this and this and this and this, right? And because I'm a general contractor, so we literally can do anything somebody wants. Whether it's changing shelf liner paper or complete home remodel, we could do that. That's not our core competency. Our core competency is taking care of people's homes when they're not here and the preventive maintenance to keep that asset in a good, marketable, quality condition, right? But that doesn't sell anymore. You can't, it just doesn't, it's not persuasive enough. So instead it would be, wouldn't it be better, especially with gas prices the way they are, for you to have somebody in Santa Monica check your home for you, which is going to take them a half an hour or an hour, depending on the size of your home. And you get another 3 hours of pickleball because you're not having to drive to LA, right? And you're not spending the gas. and you're not losing your enjoyment of the desert.
True.
Right?
Good point. Yeah.
And it's not that much money to have somebody do it. What are you talking about? $100 or 150? I mean, you're talking about a couple of, it's not even, it's cheaper than going to the movies. So
it's cheaper than going to Taco Bell nowadays.
Exactly. So, that's what I'm saying is that you have to change the perception that people have about why do they want to do this? In the beginning, it was really easy. It was all task-based, but nowadays it's more experience-based.
Interesting.
What quality of life do you want? Yeah, you can do it. He could do it, but he's going to drive down. It's going to take him 2 hours down, 2 hours back, depending on the time he goes.
Yep.
Right? Close to 2 hours each way, plus gas, plus the time he's there. So say round it up to say 5 hours. And then that when he gets there, other things are going to come up. Well, maybe we should do this while we're here. Maybe we should do that. And,
it's a day.
So it's at least a day. And I'd rather be playing pickleball for the day.
Well, and here's the thing. As I was talking to him, I said, well, did your wife come out with you? Because they came from Santa Monica here, right? They have a place in Santa Monica, but they're here also. And he said, no, she stayed home because their grandson is having a birthday party. So he missed that birthday party because he had to come out here and check on the house.
Oh, he had to come out here and check on a house.
Yeah, I hadn't seen him for a couple of weeks. And because they had gone back to Santa Monica because it had started warming up, and then his wife said, hey, you need to go check on the house. So he came out here, she stayed and went to the birthday party. So he missed that experience. He'll never get that. He'll never get that birthday party back again, ever. No, that experience is gone.
He should that should be coming to me to take care of him. That's 100%.
So I mentioned it and he was like, oh, no, we've been doing this for years. This is just the way we do it. And sometimes that's I think that's one of those nurturing processes that's saying, hey, you could have been in these pictures, but instead you chose to do the work yourself. And this is an experience you'll never have again. Maybe next year at a birthday party, but not this year.
Well, that child will never be that age again.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You'll never have that milestone again.
Freeze them, but it's not going to work.
Well, you wish you could do that from 14 to 18, but it's against the law.
Yeah. So just have them shoot out as about 14, freeze them. And then about 22, when they should be on their own, bring them back, baby.
That's right. Yeah. Mine are twice that age, so I don't have to worry about that. But I could still see that, when they were 14, I thought, I'm going to freeze them up just for a little bit.
Well, Leslie, I want to share something with you. This is something we've been doing, and we are in the process. We've actually, over the weekend, what I'm about to show you is Swing Point Media's current website. If you went to swingpointmedia.com, this is what you get. And when we first started out, our message was just pretty clear. Who are we? What do we do? And as about 5 years ago, when we started really getting involved in AI, it started taking over some of the language on our website. And, one of the rules that we have is when someone comes to your website in less than 3 seconds, they are confirming that, or they have been able to confirm, I'm in the right place.
Right.
And so I started looking at this. I'm like, the website is becoming almost like, you ever have one? You have one of those drawers in your house where it's kind of a junk drawer. Just everything gets in there. And if you go look for something, you open it up and you dig through it, and it's, oh, there's a pair of scissors. Oh, there's a straw. It's just a accumulation of things. And I, embarrassingly, but proudly enough to recognize, that's kind of what this has become. So I said, we're going to do something different. So what I did is we rebuilt the website, and now it's really clear. We help local service businesses get found, built, trust, and book more jobs. So if somebody is
much better,
boom. Now, believe it or not, at one point, this said this and had a video up there and a whole thing. But as AI came in, and AI really is a dominant player here, I see it as like, okay, we want to be known as the AI automation and consulting business in the Coachella Valley, and we are. But what happened is our core clients didn't see us that way anymore. Oh, you just do AI. No. We still help local businesses get found, build trust, and book more jobs. Are you interested in that? Yeah, I want more calls, less churn, more trust.
Why isn't that your homepage?
It is now. We totally redid our website over the weekend.
Oh, nice.
So now it's not live yet, but now there it is. And so now with the services, it lists what we do. Where if you went back to our other page and you looked at services, it says content marketing and video marketing. That's all it said, right?
Oh, I like the new one. That's good.
And so now it has some results on there for our clients. Here's some resources, which is our blog posts, and then a little bit of an about. So it really is focusing on local businesses. And so now go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, what about marketing to the digital marketing companies? I thought that was going to be one of the approaches that you guys took.
We are, but keep in mind, this is our public facing feature with us marketing to other marketing companies with our digital tools. That's kind of like behind the scenes. That's kind of guerrilla. It doesn't need its own website or anything like that. That is on its own. This is still serving my primary client, which are service-based businesses.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. I really like that. I like the new logo too.
Thank you. So it took a little bit to get here. This was not an overnight thing. This took probably 2 years for it to become like the junk drawer. And I said, this just doesn't work anymore. And it was confusing. And I said, well, then it's time let's clean it up. And so that's what we've done. And so it happens to everyone. And keep in mind, gang, I probably spot this faster on your website and can help you get there faster than sometimes me, because what's that saying? Why is the cobbler's kids have holes in their shoes? Well, because we're taking care of other people's shoes. So,
right. Well, and I need to I told you this last week, I think, that I need to redo at least the homepage of Executive Errands as well. If you can let me share, I'll show you the difference in the two new brochures we're using.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is the old one that we used to use. And when you look at it, maybe.
Did you share down below? Did you hit that little button that says plus? It looks like a little.
No, I didn't.
Screen that says plus, yeah.
Where are you? Down here below? Okay, the little plus. Oh, I see.
Yeah, it looks like a computer screen with a plus on it. And then choose
screen.
the window. Share screen and choose a window or a tab.
I'm just going to say, I have to pick one?
Yeah. Otherwise, we don't know what you're sharing, because I suspect you have more than one tab open, don't you?
Of course I do. Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. All right. Allow. Okay. So as you can see, it says, welcome to executive. Oh, can you see it? No?
There we go. Now we go. Okay.
So it says a full service one-stop shop for the latest trend. And then when you look down here, it talks about our company and stuff like that, but it doesn't really, it talks about us. Like, it's not really a what's in it for me from the client perspective.
Yeah.
Right? The new one,
which I would call, gang, and I don't mean this to be offensive to Leslie, because we've all done it. It's a chest beating thing. I'm so good. I don't care how good you are. Can you fix my problem? That's why I came to your website.
Right. And this is the new one. Now, can you see this one? Because I didn't share the page. Okay. So it says your home shouldn't feel like a second job. Right. And it has one of the homes out here in the desert. Okay. And it clearly says you could manage everything yourself, and, but for people who can, but choose not to. Right. And so this doesn't talk a lot about, it just talks about what's in it for them from the client's perspective, why they would want to outsource. We should give this to your friend with the home out here.
Yeah, exactly.
It does have a short amount right here under why executive errands about why you should hire us. So, because you have to have a little bit of how do you build trust with somebody.
Yep.
But this allows people to stay in control without being involved. So you can see that we're talking about one point of contact. You know what's happening. Everything is handled. No invoices, no tracking. It just gets done. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that people are looking for.
Well, the other thing that I like about what you've done here, Leslie, is you've met these people where they are.
Right.
And walked with them to the point there's another opportunity, versus the other one was like, you need to meet me where I'm at. I already know you have these problems and you should just hire me. Right. And I think sometimes we as business owners, we get that in our head because we live in that all the time. It's like we assume everyone knows and experiences what we've got. And no, they don't. It's almost like that fish. Does it really know it's in water? That's all it's known. We don't know that. So I applaud you, because that sheet meets them where they are.
Right. And I need to update the Executive Aaron's homepage to look the same way. And I like what you did on yours about it's more specific to the value that your potential clients get. Right. And that's what I want to do as well. So we'll have to work on that. I know that your guy that does that can do it in a few hours. It's super easy if I give him the content. Super easy for him, not for me to do. But what the point is that as we evolve through our business, it's really funny too, because I'm going to take a step back and come back to that. So when I first started my company, my plan was to do some home checks, mostly inside, maybe some housekeeping, maybe some window cleaning. That was kind of the big that I had at the time. And today, and I lost a client actually because we didn't do anything outside.
Oh.
Never occurred to me to do anything outside at the time. I was very naive when I started this company about how this works and what you should really do. And so over the years, I've learned that we now do inside and outside. We created the follow the wall process that's reflected on our website that sets us apart from other similar types of companies. And the clients would say, can you do this? Can you do that? And so over the years, the business has evolved to offer pretty much anything. I always tell everybody we do everything except babysit and convalescent care because we don't do diapers in any form. We just don't do that. But the point of that is that your business will evolve over time. And you'll offer different service offerings or different, you'll raise your rates, different things will happen, and you'll evolve as a company as you grow. You have to. And then there's going to come a time where society is going to change. That's the biggest thing that we noted is that society changed. After COVID, isn't it funny how everything is before COVID and after COVID these days?
Yeah.
So after COVID, because everybody was stuck at home and couldn't go out, a lot of services were created, in-home delivery for groceries, DoorDash, all these different services, Uber, all these things came into fruition because of the situation at the time. And now they're super popular. People, that's why the malls are dying, right? Nobody wants to go shopping. They want to order online. It's easy to send back if it doesn't work. Yeah, it's super convenient. You can order and you can send stuff back really easily. But then so too does your client evolve. And so I believe that as we move forward into the future, one of the things that we're going to have to do is specialize even more than we are today. Because people are going to be looking for providers that they can trust, and they may have a specific task. We used to do a lot of grocery shopping. In fact, during COVID, we did it for free for people because they couldn't go out, so we would do it.
Wow.
Just to make sure that my people stayed busy and that people were served, because again, you're a service-based business, so you want to help people. But today, nobody asks for groceries, hardly ever. Best case, they'll say, I have an order at one of the grocery stores. Can you go pick it up? I got a Whole Foods order, pick it up and deliver it for me. But most of the time they just call and get the stuff delivered themselves. So that little piece of my business is very small today compared to 5 years ago. All right.
I want to use a saying that Wayne Gretzky said, it's like we need to be skating to where the puck is going to be, not where it is. And it sounds like sometimes we are caught where the puck is, and then we have to make a radical change.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, Leslie, is that because we get so busy in our busyness of our work that we don't have that time to step back and say, whoa, let's take a look at the direction. Like I think about what you just said, and I think, wow, you could be an industry disruptor if you did fill this gap in. Like what could we anticipate that, like, the whole thing of marketing is a lot of times the goal is to let people know they have a problem that they didn't even know was a problem. And then we have a solution, right? Like, how many people will drive in from LA and it's on a Friday night because they've been working all week. They get home, or they get to their desert home, and it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and they go to open the refrigerator and it's empty. Wow, what a hassle. And they're tired and they're hungry, and they say, I'll just go to bed. And they go to bed hangry. Isn't there a better way? All you have to do is let us know you're coming. And so it almost creates this little thing and the way to do it is just hit the app on your phone. You're already a member. Hit the app on our phone, put it in there, and we'll deliver it and set it up. So when you open up that refrigerator, it has your favorite X, Y, and Z already in there. And it already becomes like, hey, this is where the puck is going. I'm ready for you there.
And we do that all the time, but the request to actually go do large shopping is much smaller than it used to be, but we still stock fridges for people coming into town, especially when they're coming from a long distance. Sometimes it's just coffee and juice and cereal or bread, and that's fine. Sometimes it's, the first day of food that they want. Especially when you're way out like in Andalusia, where it's a hike to get to a grocery store.
You show up there at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and it's like it's a half hour to a store.
Yeah, at least. So different clients have different needs, and you need to be able to accommodate that when you're in a service-based business, regardless of the kind of business. I hear this a lot of people who say they're stuck. They've been doing their business for 10 years and they just feel like it's the same thing day after day, and the amount of opportunities coming in are less. And and so now you have to do an evaluation of the whole situation for that company and say, okay, how much marketing do you do? How much networking do you do? How many meetings do you have a week? Kind of like BNI, they want you to have at least, one-to-one every week,
Yes.
And so I always tell people when they first start their company, they should be out at least 3 days a week meeting people. When you've been in business for 10 years, you think, you've built a pipeline and you think you don't need to do that. But if you don't do that, if you don't get in at least several a month, your pipeline dries up. And you need to be aware of changes in society. Just like your business, AI is coming like a locomotive down the tracks. It's here, but every 5 minutes it changes. And it's intimidating for a lot of people.
Tsunami, baby. It's a tsunami.
It's a tsunami. It is a tsunami. And a lot of people, and I see articles constantly about the perils of AI and how it's going to affect us and all the jobs that are going to be lost. And I always point out, in my lifetime, there are no more telephone operators. There's no more buggy makers unless you're in the Amish country, right? There's no more locomotives per se. They're more streamlined and efficient. They're not throwing coal in a furnace, to get the train to go. So those workers are obsolete. I mean, there's just so many jobs that we've seen disappear over the years. And just like your target client, you have to look at what the trend is and what's happening. Now, you were a marketing agency, always have been, not always, but for the most of the time that I've known you, you've done a video and marketing, which is, for those that don't know, is 15 years. So we've known each other a very long time. And you've adopted AI, and because it could wipe you out. I mean, it could have overtaken your business. My girlfriend's a digital graphic. I mean, she's a graphic artist, and AI has just about wiped out her whole business. So what is she doing? The same as you did. She's teaching herself AI so that she can find her niche in her graphic design with AI, so that people will still see value in the human component of this type of thing. So we all need to learn how to evolve, and we all need to look at the future and try to anticipate what's going to change for us. Honestly, the change in my target market snuck up on me. I wasn't looking far enough ahead. I know better. I teach people to do this, but it snuck up on me. All of a sudden, everything changed.
Yeah.
And I wasn't bringing in clients, and I wasn't, I was like, what happened? And my market changed.
Well, that's one of those things. It's like, how do you cook a frog? Slowly. You put them in cold water and slowly warm the water up, and next thing you know, they're cooked. And that's what happens. We get comfortable in where we're at. I want to transition just a little bit because I put on the screen specialist or generalist, and it goes back to my website. And I think it makes sense of saying, if you start to feel like you're a generalist, like you're doing way too many things, I think it's time to stop and write those things down. And then also not only write it down, say, but where's my revenue coming from? And what are the things that I enjoy doing? And it may be one of those things where you say, let's use an example. Let's say you put down 10 items and 8 out of those 10 are ancillary. In other words, it's like, let's say I'm a plumber, and when I go to somebody's home, they're saying, hey, while you're here, can you check the cable for my television? And because I'm pretty geeky, I do that. But I realize that's not my core competency. So I don't even offer that anymore. And so you can use that opportunity of generalist and say, let me springboard that into getting back to being a specialist and really get my message clear that this is what I do. And that's what I see what you're doing. And that's what I did when I showed you my website. It's like, I become too much to too many people. And it's that whole thing of like, when you try to talk to everybody, no one listens because it's so bland. It's just noise. It's just noise. And I wanted to be a signal.
Well, it is just noise. And I tell you, it's challenging when you become, when you do offer so many options, because trying to explain a lot of options is overwhelming for the potential client.
Yeah.
And that's why we simplified our billing practices. We have 1 hourly rate. That's it. Okay. Except for one-offs, but that doesn't count. For real clients, it's a flat rate all the time, regardless of the kind of account that you have with us. So we had to simplify that because trying to explain multiple options for billing got very difficult. The second thing is that we've backed down, and part of this is with your I was going to say insistence, but I was going to say recommendation, nudging, to focus on absentee home care for executive errands. Because when you go into somebody and you're explaining, they called you because they're interested in absentee home care. And if you start telling them, yeah, but I can also do this and this and this and this and this, all of a sudden they feel like you didn't hear them. They want X and you're talking about Y. And it's tough as the marketing person or the person that's meeting with them, because you want them to know all the things you can do. Instead, what you have to do is get them as a client. And then when something comes up, you say, sure, we can do that. And then it builds on itself. Once you get people willing to outsource their to-do list or their home checks, even, so that they're willing, like your guy with Santa Monica, if he would take a chance and try one summer, try having absentee home care, he would find how convenient that is for him. Just because they've always done it the other way for years and years doesn't mean it's the right way.
Yeah. But that's that whole comfortable thing. And, when you talked about, when you go to see somebody for absentee home ownership or absentee care, and in that conversation, you also tell them all the other things you're doing and offer them, and they're thinking, I just wanted absentee care. It almost reminds me of like two people meet for a date the first time, and one person just tells them their whole life story and everything's going on. And the other person walks out going, that's more than I bargained for. I just wanted somebody to go to dinner with and maybe a movie. Yeah, I didn't need to know their dog's name, their 3 kids. So it's just like, but down the road, as the relationship grows, you've had situations where, hey, you start at absentee home, and next thing you know, you're remodeling their house because you built some trust, and they realize, hey, you're doing a great job and take care of my home. What else do you do? Or they might call you and say, Leslie, who do you know? Oh, we do that. Oh, really? And all of a sudden they're like, I don't have to go meet somebody else. The trust is already high, right? But it started out with that first date of, hey, I was specializing in solving that one thing. So
we've actually lost clients because of that.
Oh, really?
And I don't think of overselling.
Overtelling. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think people realize, because you may not even know that's why you lost it. Right.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact, because I met with this guy. He wanted absentee home care. He was younger, do-it-yourselfer. And they were talking about the remodeling they wanted to do on their house. And I got greedy. I started thinking, oh, we could do that and we could do that. And I was telling him all that stuff. And he finally said to me, look, I was only looking for absentee home care. Ultimately, we didn't get the work. Had I stuck with that, there may have over time come up something to do with that remodeling work.
Yeah.
Now, this new one I have, I told you I've got an opportunity to do some remodeling at a property in La Quinta. Absentee home checks is not why they called me. So when I told them we also do that, they were like really excited. But he called me for the contractor stuff. So that's a different thing. And that relationship will also build over time. But you don't go in for one thing and try to sell everything else, because it really does not work. Well,
it almost feels like, going to the dentist, and I'm like, I came in for dental cleaning for $99. Yeah. And next thing you know, they want to replace 3 crowns and do a bridge, and it's $17,000 later. I'm like, time out, Johnny. I just came in for teeth cleaning. My teeth don't hurt. It's right. Like, okay, over time, yeah, I like that. So, specialist or generalist, and really make sure you meet that client. Again, I'm going to go back to the page you shared. You're meeting them where they are, not where you want them to be, and solve that one problem. It's almost like, hey, you know what? I'll show something. It's really kind of ugly. Oh, good. You really can't see it. There's a big mark on my arm right here. You can't. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. So I crashed into something over the weekend, and, as we age, our skin gets a little thinner, and it doesn't take much. And it's like, so now I want to cover it. I don't even know why I brought that up, but I
was like, how does that fit in with all?
No, I had a great story, but let's move on. So specialist or generalist, and really, I think the opportunity in the future is being more of a specialist to the general public. Right.
Well, the thing is, too, you have to acknowledge the situation, right? If you noticed on that flyer, it says, yes, you could do it, but why? Right? Because there are so many do-it-yourselfers. We're getting more and more clients who have all their own vendors now. It used to be everybody wanted to use my vendors because they're all vetted and insured and stuff, and they name us additionally insured, so it's safe for them to use them. Now they're coming to me with all their own vendors and saying, we want you to manage our homes, but these are our people that we use, which is fine. We're fine with that. So you just have to meet people, like you said, where they are, and acknowledge how people think today.
Well, I think too, Leslie, that whole idea of you could be a generalist behind the scenes. Right. So as an example, clients come aboard, and then over time, communicating with them, like you send out newsletters every 2 weeks, is you're starting to expose them to the other things that you do. Right. So you become more of a generalist to them, but you're specializing in absentee home care, right? To the general public. So when I'm searching, that's who I'm calling. I'm calling you. And then when I hook up with you, I realize over time, well, you do this and you do this and you do this. And all of a sudden I'm like, I make one phone call. I call Leslie at Executive Errands, and it's done. That's cool.
Well, and that's what we have. Yeah.
But your public facing message, you specialize.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And a lot of, I can't emphasize enough how so many business owners, and this is particularly true of people that have been in business for 5 or 10 years, is that they forget to look at, has the market changed? They need to look at that and say, okay, do I need to amend the way I'm doing things? A perfect example is, I think I've updated my website 3 times over 20 years. Okay. And 2 of those times it was formatting. The message changed, yes, but the formatting had to change, because if you don't keep your website up to date, it looks old in the mix of everything.
Yep.
that comes up, right? And so then people will think that either you're outdated in everything you provide. Oh, excuse me. Or that you're just not detail oriented.
Late night party.
Oh, what are you doing? Got it all
Late night. Yep.
Whatever you were doing, don't do that. So, so and they may think to update their website, but they're not thinking to look at who's my target market.
Yeah.
And so, and quite often, these people that have been in business a long time are targeting the wrong people. And then that means they're spinning their wheels because the marketing efforts they're doing are not yielding significant results.
Well, I think that it goes back to when you say they're targeting the wrong market. They tend to target too broad of a market because they think they can service everyone. It's like you. If I started out and I said I'm gonna have a home service business and I'm gonna target the high and the low and the middle and everybody, I'm probably going to fail miserably because nobody really knows who I serve, and probably the high-end customer saying, I'm not going to overpay because these low people are they're paying the same price or getting the same thing. Why would I pay more?
Right.
And there would be this conflict. So I agree. I think the messaging is too broad, and I think that's where we've been really talking about today. By the way, I haven't put on the screen yet. If you're not familiar, this is the Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Jeff Harrison, along with
Leslie Spohr.
And today we're talking about, hey, should you be a generalist or a specialist? And I think we've talked about it as like you can be both. But there better be one that's your forward facing. In other words, what the general public sees. And I think that's where you specialize. And that's where your messaging comes in. When you're talking about targeting and communicating with people that are 40 to 50 years old and they have a second home in the desert. And there you can now get very targeted with the messages. And now it resonates. So when they're flipping through Facebook or Instagram, or they're reading a blog, or they're doing a search, your information tends to come up and resonate with them. They're not saying, there's all kinds of stuff I'm not interested in because it doesn't resonate with them. If your message is too broad and not very specific, it's not going to resonate with your ideal customer, period.
Well, and people are much more savvy about search terms than they used to be. So if they're which is another reason you have to have all the right search terms in your metadata, right? So that they can find you.
Don't get me started on this because that's even changed.
I know it has. We're now doing AI instead of SEO, and I'm well aware. I know we're not talking that today, but
old message.
But you still have to have a presence.
You better go to where the puck's going, baby.
That's right. And today that's AI, and so you have to get your business. You have to have a specific message to a specific target client, using an AI option, right? An AI compatible option for getting your message out. And those three things, if you fail on any of those, you're going to be invisible in the market. And it's not going to be much longer where that's going to really be true. I've been seeing more and more articles about how SEO is dying.
Well, watch this. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If your ideal customer were going to, let's say they're going to chat right now, they're going to ChatGPT, and they need help, what are they putting in, Leslie?
They're putting in home checks or home care or...
Time out. I think they're doing more. We're talking about ChatGPT. So I'm saying they're probably...
they're saying, who's the best person in the Coachella Valley to check on my home when I'm not here?
That's there you exactly go. They're putting that in. Okay. Or they're saying they're a specific city. I have a home in the Vintage in Indian Wells, and I'm looking for somebody to do absentee home care.
Right.
Like that is very specialized.
Right.
So that's where this is going to cut out and said, if you're just saying I take care of everybody in the Coachella Valley, then what happens is you as a generalist are not going to even show up because the engines will not see it and they'll not cite you. I'll give you a perfect example. For one of our clients, we just over the last 4 or 5 days, we built 8 new location pages for them. Now, what is a location page? Imagine there's a specific page now on their website that shows they do business and they service people in that specific community. So if somebody in Indian Wells is looking up, the chances of now them showing up in search, both SEO and with AI, shows up much higher. That's a whole different program. But the point is, yes, if you do not have specific type of messaging and you're very general, the sand is shifting under your feet, and you're going to wake up and you've got sand up to your knees and water up to your neck. You don't stand a chance.
That I know, and that's a scary thing for a lot of small business owners. And every time I do a 5-day challenge, 5-day to freedom challenge with a small business owner, I tell them that they absolutely have to have AI focused marketing materials, website materials. I run the AI Coachella Valley thing to see how they rank on their websites, I can put that into my chat GPT and it will tell me what they need to do to improve it, or it'll come off of AI Coachella Valley. So
I was going to say, that it actually will troubleshoot and it'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I share that with my clients. So we're talking about concierge business solution clients. Now, I know this podcast can be confusing as far as me, because I have 2 businesses. One is local to the Coachella Valley, which is absentee home care and all the stuff we do as a service. But I also have concierge business solutions, which is my national consulting, software, education and training, and mentorship business. And so I do these 5-day challenges with people to help them get unstuck and identify opportunities. And one of the things I tell them every single time is you have to find a way to get AI optimized. And so I always recommend them to you because I know you can do that with your content accelerator pretty quickly. But again, so many people they don't see the forest for the trees. They look at the initial cost instead of the long-term benefits. And in the beginning, if you are not at all optimized for AI, it's going to take a little bit to fix it. Although these days it doesn't take as much money to fix it as it did 6 months ago, right? So people need to make that investment or they're going to just disappear off the landscape. And they're going to be marketing for no good reason because it won't help them. I've already had 3 people call me and say they found me on ChatGPT.
Yes.
Already, saying they say you're the best one to go to in the Coachella Valley. Great. That's exactly what we want. And not only do you have to do your marketing and networking to that, but your newsletters and all that kind of stuff, you just need to constantly be reinforcing this is what you do. I don't know how we do it so much for concierge business solutions because it's national. So I don't really have a specific location, but
you have a specific message and a specific person that like as an example, that's your 5-day freedom challenge. Well, that's a very specific target market. So the message can be very specific there.
Yeah. So there, people, I just want the listeners and the watchers to know that it's a combination of things. Know who your target market is, optimize for AI, constantly evaluate where your industry is going. It's kind of easy for me in lifestyle management because it's growing so fast and there's so many opportunities. For somebody that runs a auto shop or even them, okay, just off the top of my head, they're going to need to invest in AI diagnostic technology so that they can quicker diagnose a problem with a car, right? I'm sure that's coming if it's not already here.
It's not already there, yeah.
Yeah. And so all kinds of businesses are going to need to look at what do I have to change because I can't just, stick my head under the hood and listen for that rattle and see if I can, from my experience, figure out what that is. That's not going to work anymore. You're going to go, the consumer is going to go to the person that has the best toys, basically, and the fastest way to diagnose something and the fairest and most honest way, right? How many times, if you're a female and you go to an auto mechanic, they think you're stupid and they can tell you all kinds of things. So,
and that happens to anybody, not just women, but everyone falls prey to that, especially as cars are more complicated. I mean, let's face it, in that situation, you're not driving a car, you're driving a computer.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And usually it's the software that needs to be updated or whatever, but you still are going to need AI diagnostics.
Yeah.
And that's true for everything. Dental, restaurants, how many, they've tried to raise the minimum wage so high, and I don't want to get on a political rant, but these fast food places are having to resort to robotics to do things human beings used to do, because in the long run, it is cheaper to invest in the robotics than it is to deal with complaints and staff and HR issues and people not showing up for work and having to pay them an arm and a leg to do the job.
And at the same time, Leslie, it's really hard to justify driving through Taco Bell, and I'm not picking on Taco Bell, I'm just using an example, and spend $40 for lunch.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's like, where do I go? Well, I'll go to the store and buy some bread and some bologna, and I'm good to, and a bag of chips for $9, and I'm good to go. Just kind of a thought to wrap up here is, I often think of are you the driver or the passenger? And when you're the driver, you're in control. You're deciding where to go. But when you're the passenger, all of a sudden you look up and you're going, hey, are we on the right road? Where are we going? I thought we were going downtown. And all of a sudden you're out in the farmlands. Decide where you're at. Or, are you the passenger or the driver? I say if you're the business owner, you need to be the driver. You need to be navigating that vehicle. And like Leslie said, you need to look out and say, where is my industry going? Is it evolving? And if it's not, can I force the evolvement? I see this all the time right now. We live in such a disruptive time right now where all of a sudden somebody who is working in the back says, hey, I've figured out overnight, screwing around with Claude Code, how to do this problem, fix this problem, and it will save us 37% in overall costs. Right. Oh my gosh, right? And the business owner didn't think of that because it's not they're driving under the influence of this will always be the same.
And, people are all worried that all their jobs are going to go away. And a lot of jobs are going to go away because as you automate efficiency and you reduce overhead, and that means your profits increase. So why wouldn't you? I would do that. And I have done that. I've optimized my software to the point where I've quoted this quite often, but we cut our time to the amount of time it takes to enter our work down by 89% just by automating one process, and so why wouldn't we do that? Does that mean I need fewer people? Not necessarily, because but I can get my people to give better attention to the clients they have because they're not spending it on paperwork. And that's what a lot of businesses are trying to do. Some of these jobs that get automated will move into customer service realm where you need a human being.
Yeah.
And I think there is always going to be a place for humans. It's just going to change what their jobs are. And I agree. I wouldn't be afraid of it. I would figure out how to embrace it. Now, if you're in an industry that is going to get wiped out by AI, like graphic design, right? Then you need to say, okay, how do I adapt myself and my skills to this new environment?
Yep.
And who's going to be my target market from now on?
Well, here's the coolest thing. And again, this could be a whole new episode. Maybe we'll take that on the next couple of episodes. But if you already have a tremendous depth of knowledge, and I'm going to use your graphic artist as an example, and now you weave in AI, you're going to see things that other people don't. Like, as an example, if I'm just in AI, I don't see all those things that the graphic artist sees, and vice versa. But when you put them together, oh my gosh, it becomes like, well, I can do this. I can do this. I mean, I'm doing things right now that, quite frankly, it doesn't replace my video creators or my videographers or my editors. It allows them to do more in a short period of time. So actually, because they get paid per, they can do more of these videos at a higher quality. So actually, they actually get a bump in pay and they don't have to do as much editing because of the technology that I've said,
Right.
oh, I live in both worlds. What if we put them together? Can we do this? And we did it over the weekend. It's freaky good. I'm excited about that. and so I think if you look back in history, I challenge you. So if you're watching history and going, yeah, but I want you to look back in history and say, every time we've had some kind of a big shift, we've gone from on the farm to working in town. We've gone from in town to working industrial. We've gone from industrial to net, and now we're into AI. That every one of those,
and remote working.
Yeah, and every one of those, there's been an evolution, and there has been a job reduction, but there's always been an increase in jobs that we never thought possible, and they actually get paid more. So I think you can take the utopian or you can take a dystopian. I like the one that says, hey, I want to be positive, but I don't want to be blindly positive. Right. And so, Leslie, this has been a good conversation today. I hope it makes sense to those people watching today. It's a little different. Leslie, in our last group of, she said, hey, let's just have a conversation. I'm like, yeah, okay, but I want to make sure people are still learning. She says, let's have a conversation. I'm like, okay, here we are. So we had a conversation about should it be a specialist or generalist? The answer is yes, but one is to your forward facing, who you show the public you are, and the other is to your client.
Right. Yeah. And I want to kind of leave this with the idea that people can lose their enthusiasm over time. And I think part of that loss of enthusiasm for the business that they've created comes from the stagnation of the creative process. Because when you first start your business, you're creating the website and the marketing materials, and you're meeting new people, and pretty soon it becomes routine. I'm doing the same things every day, right? And then you start to go, well, this is like a job. I mean, I'm doing the same thing. It's not fun anymore. Well, you have to find the fun in it. Create new services, or look at the market. What can I do? What problem can I solve? It's always find a hole and fill it, right? It's always find an opportunity, find a problem and solve that problem. And I kick myself because over the years, I have seen many opportunities for problem solving in lots of different avenues, and got talked out of them. And then somebody else came along and did them. I mean, lots of them. The most recent one was, and this was about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I went to a friend of mine who is a programmer, and I said, I would really like to do an app that consolidated all of your subscription services, because it drives me crazy. I can't keep track of my subscriptions. That people are now combining back, like Hulu and Disney are together, and all these different ones. I found out this weekend, as a matter of fact, that I was paying, I got a notification that I had something that was renewing, and it was $71 a month.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah, okay. $71 a month. And then I looked, and I had this other app, similar thing, that was $25 a month. So for the two of those, I was paying $100 a month. And it turns out when I went to the $25 a month one, it had the option to have the two of those bundled together for $29 a month.
Oh my God.
So I canceled one, bundled them together. So now I'm paying $4 extra a month for what I was paying. I'm paying $30 a month instead of $100 a month. Smart. So 5 years ago, I wanted to create an app that would do that. And I was told by the programmer, oh no, that's going to be way too hard. All the algorithms change, all the way these sites, they combine all the time and change all the time and blah, blah, blah. And so I let it go. And now look, you got Rocket Money. You've got, there's like 3 or 4 other ones that are out there that do this. And you just plug it in, and you don't even have to, you just hit one button and it cancels for you and get your refund, even if you don't know your password.
I need that link.
There's a bunch of them now. Finello is another new one that just came out, Finelo. So I haven't tried that. I just know it's there.
By the way, Finello is not a sponsor of this program. Just put that out there real quick.
Oh yeah, nobody sponsors our program, which we wish they did, but they don't. If you'd like to sponsor Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted, we would love to talk to you. So the point is that you can look into the future and see a problem. You know what else was another problem I had this idea for was being able to scan my closet and have the app tell me what outfits to put together, because I am terrible at combining things, right, for clothes. And so now there's apps out there that aren't doing that quite yet, but they will. But they're doing, let's do a design of capsule wardrobes for you based on your colors and your way you like to dress and all this. And you can buy whole capsules of clothes.
Is it like Stitch for women?
It's like Stitch Fix. It is like that, which is also not a sponsor. But now Amazon has one too, that you can go in and they will, it's like $100 and you get 5 pieces and it's a whole outfit, and then they can combine. I mean, it's crazy. Amazing. Because these are problems that we have. How many women look at their closet and say, I have nothing to wear? And it's stuffed full. And
the husbands are going, are you kidding me?
I know.
Are you kidding me?
How many pairs of shoes do you really need? Right. So this is the way you have to think. What is something that bugs the crap out of you? And how do you fix it? And then you can come to somebody like Jeff if it's a programming issue, because he's got some of the best programmers I have ever seen in my life. Or if you just need help with figuring out something, I can do that. So the opportunity is there. We're here doing this podcast because we both have so much experience in being entrepreneurs and successful businesses and successful products that we really want to help people. And we're sharing our pain so that you don't have to go through quite so much. That's kind of the whole point of Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted, right? We're all that way at some point or another when we're small business owners.
That's it. Well, Leslie, let's wrap it up. It's we just hit the top of the hour, so let's wrap this up. My name is Jeff Harrison. I'm a company called Swing Point Media, and as you saw, we help local businesses. You saw our new website coming online. It should be this week, along with my fancy co-host,
Leslie Spohr. Concierge Business Solutions is probably the best one for the podcast, because that's where I help small business owners and provide solutions for the lifestyle management industry. So look us up there, both places.
Fantastic. In the meantime, you can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify. We appreciate it. Let us know what you think of the program, whether you like this formatting or not. If you're not familiar with the other formatting, go back and look at season 1. We are in season 2. I think this is episode 19, season 2.
Is it really?
So we're just humming right along. Leslie, I want to thank you as always. It's been a great conversation. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.